Welcome, Summoners, to Veruda's Quick Champion Guides. Today, I invite you to meet Lee Sin. Lee Sin is a melee bruiser who is naturally tanky, yet deals incredible amounts of damage. He is most often played as a top solo or a jungler, excelling at both roles, and is also a perfect counter pick to champions that rely on stealth. Let's get into his abilities. Lee Sin's Q, W, and E all have two names, the first ability and an activatable secondary ability. His Q is called Sonic Wave / Resonating Strike. The first activation fires a skill shot wave of sound, dealing physical damage to the first enemy it encounters. If this ability hits, it will not only reveal the location of the target, but for 3 seconds it will allow you to reactivate the ability. Upon second activation, Lee Sin will dash toward them, dealing more physical damage, plus 10% of their missing health. His W is called Safeguard / Iron Will. The first activation of this ability makes Lee Sin rush towards a target ally, shielding both Lee Sin and his target from damage. If either shield is broken, half of the energy cost is returned. After the first use, his W can be recast to give Lee Sin extra lifesteal, spell vamp, and armor for 5 seconds. As this ability can be used to shield a friendly unit, it can also be used on wards or creeps for extra mobility. Newer players may not know, but by simply holding Alt, you can cast this on yourself without having to click it. His E is called Tempest / Cripple. The first activation makes Lee Sin smash the ground around him, dealing magic damage and revealing all enemy units it hits. The second activation of this ability will slow both movement speed and attack speed of all targets marked by the first. This ability is fantastic for limiting an entire team's mobility and effectiveness in a team fight. It's also great for kiting less mobile champions. Pairing this ability with his Q, Lee Sin can single-handedly ruin a stealthy champion's day, as they both grant vision of the target to your team. His R is called Dragon's Rage. Lee Sin does a roundhouse kick, launching his target back, dealing physical damage to the target and any enemies that it collides with. These enemies will be knocked into the air for a short duration. This ability is great as both an execution and a defensive tool during team fights. Kicking assassins off your team's carries or knocking up an opponent that was channeling an ability can make or break a team fight. Lee Sin's passive is called Flurry. After using an ability, his next two basic attacks gain 50% attack speed and return 15 energy each. This is extremely important to use correctly in order to maximize your damage potential. Staggering your abilities in the jungle will allow you to do it faster, and while focusing an opponent, you can maintain higher levels of energy if you get the 2 auto attacks in between using abilities. For item build, these are my 2 suggestions. The one on the left is for top lane soloing, as you can farm the creeps to justify purchasing your Warmogs. Atma's Impaler and Frozen Mallet are very synergetic and solidify your position as a tanky damage dealer. The build on the right is for jungling, and simply rushes Wriggles and Frozen Mallet. Even without the Warmog's armor, you have more than enough health to pick up an Atma's Impaler, and that will complete the static portion of your build. These items are very useful on Lee Sin, but are more situational than anything. While they all have their various uses, they shouldn't be considered on the solo build until you're ready to sell those Doran's Blades, and only on jungling after purchasing your Atmas. For masteries, I suggest a 21-9-0 build for both roles, as it will allow for maximum damage output and survivability. Lee Sin is not a buff-dependent jungler, and should be donating both blue and red buffs accordingly to his teammates. Therefore, I don't suggest wasting those 9 points in the utility tree to extend their durations. For runes, I suggest Armor Pin Quinson reds, Flat Armor yellows, Flat Magic Resistance blues, and this combination will allow for a large amount of damage throughout the entire game, and even boost your defenses along with your masteries. Some players may opt for physical damage runes instead of Armor Pin to boost his early game, but they will need to build accordingly to deal with armor stacking opponents in the late game. As League of Legends is a game of adaptivity, do remember that all portions of this guide are merely a suggestion, and that you should experiment to find out what works best for you. If you think you have a more effective suggestion for any portion of this guide, whether it be build, masteries, or even runes, please leave a comment below to help others looking for advice. This has been Veruda's Quick Champion Guide, and thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, please make sure to click the like button and add it to your favorites for quick reference. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more of these quick guides, and check out my little commentaries. If I've done a commentary over the champion we just discussed, there will be a link so that you can see what we just covered in action. Thank you again, this has been Veruda, and I'll see you out there.